Welcome back to Unbreakable, a mental health podcast with Jay Glazer. I am Jay Glazer. And look, it was about a year ago where a friend of mine who I've trained with, who lived with me and my son for a while, came out on national television and told the world he was struggling. That friend just happens to be the best tackle in the National Football League, and Lane Johnson. And it was at that moment also, he gave me almost permission to come on television and tell the world that I was struggling with what I call the gray, depression, anxiety. So said a year later, hey, let's run it back, big boy. Lane Johnson, welcome to Unbreakable. How are you, brother?
Doing good.
Man, a year ago, we did that interview. And you said to me, I've been stuck in hell. Since we've done that in this past year, do you still feel like you're stuck in that hell of depression, anxiety, or has it alleviated? Have you been able to see a little heaven?
No, I'm in a much better headspace compared to last year. I was dealing with a number of things. Primarily, the surgery I had on my ankle put me in a bad spot. I wasn't able to work out, feel the same, doing day-to-day stuff for my profession without feeling pains. It was always on my mind and amplified. And then I think with just some of the medication I was on, maybe wasn't agreeing with me in my system. But my body, whenever your body feels extremes like that, to where you have like convulsions, like the shakes, tremors in your hands, it's really scary, and it's something that it seems like it's always over you, and it can really take control of your life.
Yeah.
And it's hard to really open up and express what it really feels like to people who may be ignorant of the feeling. But once you get it, it's the fear that you have in your system is like overload, to where it's hard to describe. But I feel like a lot of my anxieties have always come from just like internal pressures. I think, coming from a small town, my goal was always to be an NFL player. And so, the odds of doing that is high, but I just feel like I was always hardwired. If I always had, my mindset on something, I would always, pretty much stay to it.
You put too much pressure on yourself. Like you were, goals that really aren't attainable, in a way.
And even when you do attain them, it's like, well, you were expecting to get them anyway. So it's like, you had yourself in shackles almost. And so that was a no-win type of situation. I feel like since last year, I feel liberated, having come forward about it. When I realized, so there was people from the Colts organization that reached out. I just feel like it touched a lot of people in the NFL, because a lot of athletes are going through this.
People you went against.
People I go against, they're going through the same exact struggles, and it's our job is to go win football games, and there's a lot at stake. It's people's, it's a high price game. Season in, season out.
For people who didn't see the feature that you and I did last year, I said to you, look, my depression and anxiety, when it kicks in, I feel it on the left side of my gut, feel it behind my rib cage, and I feel it in my joints like I just went through a 50-round fight in the rain, right? So for people who didn't see our feature, describe to people what your depression, anxiety did to you, what it caused you.
Mine was where every time I woke up, it was like I was in full anxiety attack mode. So I lost a lot of weight, probably 15, 20 pounds. Doing day-to-day activities was hard to function. And then trying to play football on top of it, I couldn't do it no more. I was at a place where, I feel like my body had all that it could take and all that it could muster. And so I really needed help, and to stop putting this stuff in the corner and letting it consume me, a little bit at a time, and really come to grips with it. And I feel like further understand yourself. I feel like whenever you're put in these positions, it opens yourself up to you. And so you have to maybe confront different sides of yourself that, you don't really understand.
You also said you were throwing up blood, right?
Yeah, well, I've thrown up so much. So like when I'm saying, when I get these anxiety attacks, so the first thing I feel is in your stomach, because it's like the fight or flight response, and all that blood rushes away from your stomach, and you can get Yeah, very nauseous. This happens every game day for me, by the way. This has happened ever since really high school. Um,
Hmm.
but whenever this was going on, I feel like it was due to the medication that I was on. A lot of it was due to bad side effects. So when you have an SSRI, side effects, they can range from like cold to flu-like symptoms. You can have tremors in your hand, like convulsions, and they stay with you. They don't really go away because this stuff is messing with your serotonin, neurotransmitters in your brain. And so chemically, when that stuff isn't
Right, but you were kind of messing with your dosage, right? So, like, I want people, I want people to understand that you're on medication.
Yes, no.
Medication works for you.
Yeah, I was on extended release, and what I was doing was usually I had regular prescriptions to where you could split them, and so with this extended release, there's a reason why it's made the way it is to not be split, and so basically I went from a pretty decent dose to nothing, and so and these are the type of
So you went through
drugs.
withdrawals pretty much.
Yeah, because you're supposed to taper down. There's a tapering system with these, and so the withdrawal symptoms for these were terrible. And so the medication I was on was Paxil, and so that is known to have the worst side effects of any of the SSRIs.
Do you are you still on medication? You're on different medication now?
Yeah, I'm on a different medication, and even with the whole medication thing, I always saw it as like a crutch, and if you had something bad with your knee, you're going to take something for that, or something. This is no different. This should be taken even more seriously. But I feel like just us, we become very good at what we practice. So if like we're very good, the anxiety builds up when you're constantly distracting yourself. Or I feel like we're attracted to drama. Social media has drama on it. Yeah, it's like your brain almost gets addicted to it, and whenever you don't have that that stimulation from that, it manifests in anxiety,
But the reason why I'm asking about your meds is I want people to hear this. Like, I've been on over 30 and I haven't found any that worked for me yet. I haven't said this publicly yet. I use ketamine infusions. And that is the only, but that's an IV. I haven't had a pill. I had one pill that worked for about 4 days, but I just metabolized things, but I'll never stop. Like, if we can find medication that's going to work for me, I'm going to take it. So I want people to understand that. I'm not against meds. Lane's not against meds. That's why I wanted him to say that he's using them. Anything that we could do is not a crutch and it's not a weakness. If it works for you, God bless you.
Yeah, I just think it's another part of the plan of attack. I feel like this, along with, I feel like just training your mind, really learning to quiet your mind and practice it, because we don't practice it. Like I said, a lot of our world now is full of distractions. So like even like you were talking about before the podcast, breath work, that's something that's been around for a long time. It's just, starting to come around here in the US and people practicing it. And then, for what we do, it's all about stress control and trying to be your best self every day and not have like your thoughts running away with you. I feel like that's the problem. Your thoughts, you got to learn to really quiet your mind. And it's hard to do if you don't practice it.
One thing I learned from you, which you didn't even intend to teach, is, you and I were talking about journaling, and this didn't make the piece. And so I've had an anxiety attack every time I've ever been on TV from 2005 till now. And up until, I should say, when I wrote the book. Once you said that you journaled, I had already written the book when you and I had sat down and talked last year. And then I realized, son of a bitch, I haven't been having these anxiety attacks, these panic attacks when I've been going on TV's office. I'm like, man, I wonder if it's because I've been journaling, which in the book for me, basically writing a book is journaling. So that was huge. So you still, like, what's your practice now? Do you journal now? Do you do meditation, breath work? I know you work out like a motherfucker. What else is part of your journey to get you through this?
So during the off season, I went to Dr. Amen.
You did?
Who has the Amen clinics. And so basically did a SPECT scan of my brain. And so he's kind of able to diagnose like which areas of the brain is kind of more overactive and can describe to me kind of why you're feeling in certain ways. But obviously he's big on meditation. I think it's called Kirtan Kriya. I think that's the name of it.
Okay.
He's big on that. It's almost like a mantra to quiet your mind.
Kind of like transcendental meditation. Yeah.
Yeah, what he said from the mantra though, like some of the studies. I know one of the studies is from a University of I think Pennsylvania, but I think they did an 8-week study of just people that practice this every day. They showed a lot better blood flow in the prefrontal cortex of the brain, and so they're a lot more sharp, focused, able to deal with stress a lot better, anxiety. But basically, what he said, it's a workout for your mind.
Right.
Practicing this. He's
So
also
you
big on.
do that now? You do
Yeah, I do a
meditation,
lot.
breath work.
Yeah, I
Okay.
do a lot of that before games or the night before,
Okay.
to really just try to calm the system down and really quiet the mind down. So when I'm on the
Yeah.
field, I'm just
Get the roommates in your head to stop talking. Yeah.
yeah,
Or
exactly.
to play nicely with each other, I should say.
Yeah, well, yeah, really, it's just I'm trying not to think nothing. I'm gonna go on the field and not. I feel like the main problem with things is overthinking. So I just
Yeah.
want to I'm just living in the present, the most present that I can be.
So I want to get back to you and I did the feature, and I know, you were nervous at one point going in.
Mhm.
Tell me more about the reaction after you did the piece and how that made you feel.
I just knew that a lot of I feel like I represented just a lot of the guys in the NFL that felt the same way that deal with these things and maybe don't even talk to anybody really about it. These are things kept hidden to themselves, and and I learned this stuff from like whenever my teammate Brandon Brooks went through a similar ordeal, and yeah, we just realized we have a lot more in common. And I think the main thing to break the fold is to talk, obviously communication, and then really have a plan of attack to really, okay, your mental health, what does that look like? How are we hitting all the boxes to protect our minds and really just our peace of mind?
But
So
but
wherever
but
was,
but how to make you feel like these players reaching out? Were you able to feel? Was it able to lift you?
yeah. I mean, I just felt liberated just telling my story. And then the reactions, like I knew I was going to have different reactions, mostly all positive. But yeah, I just a lot of these conversations that I had was with players after the games, like, hey man, I go
Yeah.
through similar stuff. That was
That's
that was
cool.
the yeah that was the biggest touching home moment. It was just seeing all the guys after the games and having these conversations with the guys, and that meant the world to me.
Is there any story you could tell where somebody in particular came over to you after game and just touched you and something he said to you? You don't have to use his name if you don't want to.
Yeah, it's one of the Raiders guys, pretty notable players. Had some struggles. Came up to me and said that, hey man, praying for you. I've gone through similar stuff, and yeah, I mean, just what I said. It's all too very common
Yeah.
that we all have these similar issues, but it's also very common that nobody knows it.
It's
Because we don't talk about it a lot.
isn't it amazing that where our lives have gone? Because when I trained you in mixed martial arts, my entire thing to you is don't show it. Don't show you're hurt, right? What was my thing? Neutral face, neutral face. Don't fucking show it. If you're hurt, if you're tired, you will never fucking know, right? Lame,
Yeah.
I'd jump your shit, right? If you put your hands on your hips, right? Don't fucking show it. And here I am now preaching to the world, and you now also preach in the world the complete opposite in life. Show it all, tell it all, say it all, show your pain, show your vulnerability. I'm still trying to process me living the two worlds.
Yeah, well, I think what you said really does apply to really like your sport. So yours was mixed martial arts, mine was football. And yeah, whenever you are in that cage, you do need to have that. You don't show any negative body language. You're a warrior in there. But like you said, it's very hard to separate that personality, that lifestyle. Okay, now we're headed home. We're going to somewhere else. And it's hard to flip the switch to turn it off. And I think that's the main thing is that it's hard for us to flip the switch to turn it off because this is something so ingrained with you or something you've been so passionate about your whole life, and it really takes a hold of you. As your identity, whether you like it or not, is something you put a lot of your thoughts and time and energy on this earth thinking about. So it's hard to go to something else.
Have you been able to take? Because I think a lot of our issues come from social media. We immediately,
Yeah,
man, we're comparing ourselves to everybody else's filtered fraction of a second on fucking Facebook and Instagram, but also Twitter, man, we're just seeing so much shit talked about us, yet we're addicted to us. Have you been able to quit that addiction?
Yeah, well, I have help with my social media stuff, so my Instagram, my Twitter. So I really tried to look at that during the really just, as I've gotten older, just the less I want to listen to the radio, the more I like to listen to podcasts or listen to, stay in my own stuff. Because I feel like with everything you turn on, I mean, 80% of it is negative, just a negative, just constant, that's what the world's turned into, unfortunately. It's turned into drama. Like you said, the internet. I don't know. I feel like there's no accountability on there. I feel like, hey, if you got a profile, hey, you need some identity, some identification with it too. You can't just, you must be held accountable for what you say.
Wouldn't that be a great world?
Yeah.
But it's incredible too, because the shit people say to us, imagine you walking into somebody's job and us walking up to someone's boss and go, hey, Johnny over there in office 204, he fucking sucks at taxes. That motherfucker's terrible at taxes, right? Fucking fire him. That's what people do to us. Right? Come on.
Yeah, you're like in a state of paranoia, but it comes with the territory. Like what I realized is that it's all, at the end of the day, it's all about the consumer enjoying the game or enjoying the fights, the spectator, the fans. So it's part of the game. Like,
yeah, but we have feelings, motherfucker.
Yeah. Hey, the shit talking existed in the 70s and 80s. It was I feel like it's more face to face. They didn't have nowhere to go type all their anger out and vent,
Give me the point. I guess the hardest time for you, or the lowest point you have that you got through.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably been the past 3 years because like I said, a lot of this stemmed from a lot of this stemmed from my injury, and having to play a professional sport and not feel the same or in constant pain. And I mean, something just gave me hell. I thought I was going to retire early, to be honest with you.
Really?
And that was what I was fighting. Yeah, I mean, because if it was going to affect me this bad, even though I can still make money and still be good at what I do, not knowing that I can, drove me nuts, when I can't push off my left foot the way I am my right foot. So it's just something I had to adapt to. But now it's normal.
Were you close to retiring?
I mean, I thought whenever, I left and whenever we did that interview, I was talking to Dom, I was like, hey, I don't really know how much longer I can go with this. Just because my body was hurting so bad. You can see even last year on my film, like run block and like coming out, I was very high. I was in pain. I was just in a lot of pain. But it's the NFL. Hey, people, it's the name of the game. You got to get healthy, or somebody else is coming in. So, a lot of it was that, and then internal pressure to play at a certain level, despite whatever excuse you may have.
You know what I'd like you to do, and I meant to say this when I went around. I'd love for you to be able to tell your trainer, right, when guys are hurt, to ask guys how they're doing, not just physically. Because like you said, when you're hurt, it's a warrior being forced to put his shield down when he's not signed up to put his shield down.
Yeah.
So talk to him and say, hey, from now on, when you got a guy in here, make sure, just talk to him that they're okay between the ears.
Yeah. And I think the most vulnerable times is like whenever a coach, or at least like talks that you remember, is like when a coach pulls you aside privately, not among the guys, and like tells you like, hey, how are you doing? That type of stuff. And I feel like that's where guys will open up more, instead of being, in the locker room among the guys. If you do it in a more personal setting, guys will really tell you what's on their mind. But like I said, you go into the gym and asking guys how they're doing, they're always gonna say, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah. But you're saying really pulling somebody aside, saying, hey.
Really pulling somebody aside. Exactly. Right. Really pulling them aside.
And when this went down too last year, I jumped your shit for not reaching out to your teammates, me being one of them, right? And telling us it got this bad. Do you now realize that, okay, I can never get in a place where I don't reach out to anybody? Do you get that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the self-isolation, I feel like it's like a natural, like, side effect of it. I feel like when you first get these, or feel this stuff, you just want to isolate, not, I guess spread it anymore for people to find out. You want this to be just your problem that you can hopefully overcome. But yeah, I mean, I only knew that it was just it kept building the monster. And I knew that even though it was making things worse, it's like I wasn't going to turn back, And I feel like a lot of people do this. I don't know why, because I guess they're scared to confront it.
Well, there's a certain amount of shame we feel.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're like ashamed because we used to look at it like it's weakness. Now I don't.
Yeah. Well, these conversations didn't exist back in, in different times. It was a suck it up mentality. Hey, and that's why you have a lot of trauma-filled people as grown-ups. That stuff doesn't go away. You know what I'm saying? It goes with you.
I was especially proud when I saw you not too long ago doing a mental health speech at a synagogue. I mean, what?
Yeah.
Talk about coming such full circle for you, Lane, and just making a 180. Were you proud of yourself? Are you able to be proud of yourself now for being able to lead so many of us out of this?
Yeah, well, that was really, another time that really hit home with me because, that's the first time I've ever, besides, going one-on-one with you, speaking to a group about this. And yeah, just the amount of people I saw that were in the audience were there because I felt like they were feeling some type of degree of pain or they have a loved one that's going through a certain situation. And man, it's a quiet killer. You don't realize how many people have lost lives, have lost loved ones to suicide or just, stuff that's, that can be at least a bunch solved or at least started with a conversation. And like I'm saying, seeing those parents and some of the kids there, that was special. That was a good moment in my life.
Hey, so before I let you go, our last question, I always ask somebody, give me a moment in your life, your unbreakable moment, something that could have broken. This doesn't have to be mental health wise, just anything, something in your life, your career, whatever it is, something that, like for me, is when I almost died with my lungs and then freaking came all the way back and opened Unbreakable with an oxygen tank. My other unbreakable moment was, 11 years after starting my career, getting my first full-time job and not quitting after 11 years of fucking rejection, making $9,450 a year, living in New York City. What is your unbreakable moment? Give me that moment for you that something should have broken, you didn't, and you came through the other side of that tunnel stronger because of it.
Overcoming just really this past year with the injuries, the anxiety, even the coming forth and now, telling people, kind of my journey. And then really is just be wary of the people you're around every day at work. Try to lighten people up. And like I said, a compliment can go a long way for people. A good conversation can go a long way for people. And I feel like the initiation of that might be the hardest part. But once you break that door down, then it opens it up for a much better life.
Perfect. Man, I appreciate you so much, dude. And I'm proud of you, Gandalf. Lane Johnson. Thank you, brother. Always proud of you. Proud to walk this walk together, man.
Thanks, Bilbo. Love you.
Love you.